Hope you are all doing well. My name is Roman Piacek, and in the next 5 minutes, I will be talking about cost control for serverless SQL pool. Good, so let's move over to my data toboggan Synapse workspace. The first thing actually we need to consider when we are talking about serverless SQL pool is that we pay per each terabyte of data that is being processed. So if you want to manage the cost, we can go to manage SQL pools, and then by default you should be able to see your built-in serverless SQL pool. At the first look, it seems you cannot configure much over here, but if you hover the mouse, then this magic button appears, and it allows you to configure cost control at daily, weekly, and monthly level. All the values must be in terabytes, so you can apply, and once all the cost control limits are applied, users won't be able to go over the budget. The good thing is this is not the only way how to configure the cost control limit. You can also achieve the same using tsql script, or namely you can use this sp set data process limit procedures and specify if it's daily, weekly, or monthly type, and then limit in terabytes. Then if you want to configure what is currently being set up, then you can go to sys configurations and you can see the current values over here. Then you might be also interested in the amount of external data processed, and for this purpose you have sys dm external data processed view, where you can see already the cumulative values in megabytes, daily, weekly, and as well as monthly. Good. So how does it look like when user wants to run a query but is already over the limit? So I have a second data toboggan Synapse instance provisioned, and then here I will try to run a query. But as you can see already in the messages, the query failed and query is rejected because SQL Serverless budget limit is exceeded, which is absolutely fine. So we won't be generating additional cost over the threshold. So okay, so we are all good with the limits. The second thing, I would strongly recommend you to monitor what is actually happening in your serverless SQL pool. For this purpose, you can go to monitor and then SQL requests, and you should be able to see the amount of data processed per each request, who submitted the request. But one disadvantage, you cannot actually group by or apply some advanced logic over here. So you might be building your own monitoring dashboard or some reports in Power BI. So if you are struggling with the SQL query, which is behind, I will give you a small hint. So if you press F12 in the browser and go to network and refresh the page, you can actually trace the query that is being sent, right? So if you copy the value, you can parameterize this query, and you can, I don't know, wrap it as a store procedure. And then if you run this query, you get exactly the same result set as I was showing in the SQL request on the SQL request page. So this might be quite useful, as I said, when you are building your own Power BI reports. Then another good thing, you can actually use DM exec request history view. And here I was interested in top 3 most expensive queries. So I want to know what do I pay for. And then, so if I run this query, I can immediately see that this query is quite heavy, and it cost me 20 gigabytes of data. Then the second view I have is the top 3 most active users, again based on DM exec request history. So I can actually see which users are running the most expensive queries, or how expensive it is. And then if I go to chart, I can obviously visualize it. I would recommend you to do this in Power BI. And then, yeah, so you can immediately see in your reports that, for example, Monica already processed over 600 gigabytes of data. Good. So hope this was somehow useful for you. Enjoy the rest of the conference and stay safe.